So there was last weekend, there was a rage on behalf of Russia's war machine, aka Rage Against the War Machine, aka Tulsi Gabbard and Ron Paul, and neo-Nazis and Russophiles and QAnons all gathering together in a big lump in DC to all complain about the same thing for 20 different reasons, which is hilarious. Diversity was not their strength, I would say, because it was they were like, everybody put the different sums into the equation and came up with the same conclusion, which is, I'm just going to say, a sign of bad math on the jump. There's one in London right now, which is literally its entire its preface is the elimination of NATO, because NATO is a war machine that's been, ginning up war with Russia forever. Now, NATO. Has NATO invaded any countries lately? No. Has Russia invaded any countries lately? I'm scratching my head. And by the way, did NATO and Russia have an agreement about sovereign territories in 1997 that Russia immediately broke? Yeah, they did. So I have been dropping into the online social media streams of these folks who are, and I think this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier, which is they are weaponizing empathy of good people, taking what is effectively the anti-war movement and turning it into an anti-Ukrainian self-defense movement. Because their idea is that if we stopped helping the Ukrainians, this would be over a lot quicker. And that's true. In the same way that if someone is being sexually assaulted and you're helping them fight off their attacker and you stop, it would be over a lot quicker. The big question by this anti-war group, if I could boil it down into something awful, is if you stop fighting, rape turns into sex.
Oh, jeez, I'm crow.
That's the
Yeah,
mentality.
yeah.
It would just be sex. It's only rape because you're fighting back. That
makes me want to swear.
Oh my God. It is grotesque. And as we look back on the year and all the things that have happened, Bucha, the massacres that happened there, the videos posted, bless you. I know I'm allergic to atrocities as well.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens. As we look back at like things that seem like impossible, like 1,000 years ago. There's so many things we've been through in the last couple of years, especially.
Wes says we're not on the air.
We're not. That's terrible. Well, maybe there's a delay in the chat. Maybe that's. I think it might be from.
Maybe someone said something was disgusting. I hope that's not my sneeze.
I think it was. I think. But the analogy, I stand by that analogy. That the argument from the door against the machine crowd and this anti-NATO group that's meeting in London right now. Let me say this as clearly as I possibly can. They are not anti-war. They are for Russia winning as soon as possible.
Yep.
They are looking, they're like people who bang on the wall when there is domestic violence in the next apartment. Not because they want it to stop, but because it's waking them up from their nap. It is not out of concern for who's being harmed.
They're not banging on the wall because they want justice. They just want it to be over sooner.
Yeah, they just want, can you just kill her already so I can get some sleep? That's
right.
That's the mentality. And I feel free to at me, anybody who hears this. I don't care. It is abundant. If you listen to any of these people, and it's not even just at these gatherings, it's all year long. It's their conversation about it's
the Russell Brand thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's because the Azov battalion had 9 Nazis in it. By the way, back when in 2014, pre-Euromaidan, back when Russia ran the joint through a puppet government, interesting. And then all of a sudden, somebody takes over, they change governments 3 times, they have 3 elections, successful elections. They now have a Jewish president. And all of a sudden, the only place you find those guys holding up their Nazi Ukraine flags happen to be in the Donbass and in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions with brand new, like in the package, printed out Nazi Ukraine flags being held up by masked people wearing patches.
What's a Nazi Ukraine flag?
They made a yellow flag with the swastika in the middle of it.
Yeah,
which, by the way,
adorable.
It is. But for the record, is not a symbol of Ukrainians who are Nazis who want this. It is a symbol of the neo-Nazis from Russia who intend to turn Ukraine into a Russian white nationalist state. There is a group specifically of Putin followers who are like egregiously white supremacist. And they believe that the reason you have to take over Ukraine, and Putin alluded to this in his speech a few days ago, that not only are the gays going to come in, because that's what Europe wants to do. If Ukraine becomes part of Europe and it becomes normalized to Europe, they're going to have pride marches and trans people, and you're going to have gender-neutral bathrooms, egads. But on top of that, Europe lets the blacks in. Europe lets the Eurasians in. Europe lets the Middle Easterners in and that kind of stuff. And we keep them out. And they're going to, if Ukraine becomes part of Europe, that's what's going to happen. That they're going to allow that in. And that gets on our doorstep. More than fearing NATO's weapons at Russia's doorstep, they fear Western pluralism at their doorstep. And so the people that are in the Donbass holding up flags like that are stating their intention to turn Ukraine into a Russian white nationalist state run by the Russian Orthodox Church and of a particular single strain, to basically rebuild the demographic that is collapsing in Russia. It's very 1930s. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Philip Bittner will be slumming with us right after this.
Back on
terrestrial radio.
MSNBC.
He's here already. He's lovely. We'll be back right after this. We're going to pick on him because he's wonderful and we're so happy. Anyways, we'll be back right after this.